Hello and welcome, Zimbabwe, to the program Moments of Greatness. And this is the second episode as we try to inspire and motivate the people of Zimbabwe and indeed beyond our borders, looking at how one can be almost nothing and how you can achieve greatness. Like we said, some were born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. And on this program, we've got Coach Natsi. Coach Natsi, welcome to the program Moments of Greatness.
Thank you, Maimba.
It's great to have you all, always, and of course, we started in our first episode, we spoke about moments of greatness. Now, do you just want to break it down a bit, what moments of greatness is all about?
We're dealing with the whole issue, how important for every individual who's alive today to know that there are seeds of greatness within them. As we said last week, that you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Every individual, we go through life sometimes without realizing the potential and seeds of greatness that God has put within us. But it is important for every individual to know that no matter where you are at, there are seeds of greatness. And one does not only have to know that there are seeds of greatness within them, they have to discover those seeds of greatness within them, then they deploy those seeds of greatness for them to become the great man or the great woman they are meant to be.
So you talk about a moment of greatness. As in, it's something that just happens, and it almost seems as if a person has to be on the lookout for this moment of greatness for them to be able to identify it, so that they can transition from being zero to a hero. How does one, tell us about this moment of greatness?
That's right. We are always surrounded with opportunities. Sometimes opportunities, they are not painted opportunity. They could seem like a problem, but one has to be able to seize that moment. I always say to people, you'd rather be prepared and no opportunity comes than opportunities to come and you are not prepared. What do I mean? When you look at a day, a bad day has 24 hours. A good day has 24 hours. But it is how one chooses to look at the events that are happening that particular day to say, you know what, I choose not to look down upon myself. I choose not to whine and complain in this situation, but I choose to rise above whatever I'm going through.
So you're talking about the word choose. So it's a matter of choice. One has got to actually make a choice for them to be great.
Life is a series of choices and decisions. Today, you and me are sitting here, and everyone who's watching, we are the sum total of the choices that we make every day. Okay. So moments of greatness, it has to do with seizing the moment and making decisions in every day of your life to transform your own life.
Based on that, let me give you a typical example. What differentiates a musician like Oliver Mtukudzi or Jah Prayzah from a musician that we totally don't even know about? Was there a moment of greatness that Jah Prayzah had to pick on, or Oliver, or any other musician, or Macheso? And was there a moment of greatness that a musician we're not talking about today did not see?
Whether you're a musician, you're a businessman, or you're a sports person, there comes a place where you realize that whatever I am doing, I can take this thing to the next level. Sometimes some people discover their moments of greatness in different ways. There is no one size fits all. To some people, a crisis had to happen for them to discover there is more to me. To some people, they had to have an aha moment, a moment where you have to say, you know what, there's something in me. To other people, it had to take somebody else who saw in them what they were not seeing in themselves.
So each one of us, like you've said, differently so. Some of us, we need somebody else to speak into our lives. Right. And some of us, it's important that we find out within ourselves that we can actually be great. So what's the power of a moment? This is something that is very interesting, and I think it comes out in your conversation. What's the power of a moment?
I love it. The power of a moment is so transformational, because in a moment, you can move from nothing to something. In a moment, you can move from nobody to somebody. In a moment, you can move from here to there. In a moment, even your status can change from single to getting married. So the power of a moment is this. You can create a moment, though sometimes you cannot recreate a moment.
In a moment, the power of a moment, you can move from here to there. You can move from being single to getting married. But of course, you do need the person to identify you, right? So that said, I know that in this episode, Zimbabwe, we're going to be moving into 10 most important life questions. And life's questions are centered on you as a person so that you're able to unlock within yourselves. We spoke about 3 of them in the first episode. Now, do you want to just recap on those 3 or 4 it was, as it were, and then we can move on?
There could be many questions, but these are the 10 important questions that I had to ask myself for me to be able to unlock my own potential, my own greatness. Number 1, it had to do with the identity question. Who am I? This important question is so key because it is the foundation of whatever a person can become in life. So when you look at a building, many people talk about the outside of the building or the interior of the building, but many people, not very few, many people talk about the foundation of a building. So that's how important this question is. The second question has to do with the destiny question. Where am I going? Now that I know this is who I am, where am I going as an individual? Where one has to look at, when I look at my life, why am I doing what God has called me to do? The third question now has to do with the purpose question. Why was I born? I always say to people, it's not the what, it's not sometimes the when, or it's the how, but it's the why. Because it is the why question that makes you, when the tough gets going, you still pick up yourself and still move forward.
Which leads us to the 4th question.
The 4th question has to do with the process question. Now that I know who I am, now that I know where I want to go, now that I know why I want to go there, how do I go there? Many of us, we ask ourselves the first 3 important questions. Who am I? Why was I born? Where am I going? But we brush them off because of number 4. We don't know the how. How do I move from where I am to where I'm supposed to be? How do I make the first step, the second step, the third step? So because of that, we then throw these questions away. I don't necessarily believe people have not been asking themselves these questions. Everybody asks themselves these questions, but the issue is we don't know how to answer them. And I believe that through this program, we'll be able to help people to walk step by step in helping people to achieve the greatness that God has put within them.
Well, there you have it, Zimbabwe. Who am I? My name is Maimba, your host, and this is the program Moments of Greatness. The why, the what, the how are questions that we're going to find out in the second segment. So stay with us as we unpack life's questions here on Moments of Greatness. Hello, Zimbabwe, and welcome to the program Moments of Greatness, where we talk about all things great, and we try and find out how best we can turn ordinary people to the greatest people that they can be. Each one of us has got seeds of greatness. This is according to Coach Nazi. And Coach Nazi, you spoke about seeds of greatness. We went through the first 4 in trying to unpack the 10 most important life's questions. And in the first segment, we spoke about the 4 questions. Do you want to take us through? We go from 5 up to 10.
That's right. Number 5, I really love it because it talks about the potential question. What can I do? There are people in life who believe that people can do one thing and focus on that thing and do it very well. But I believe that you can never be great until you tap into the potential that God has put within you. I believe that there could be guys who are 5 talented. There are people who are 2 talented. There are people who are 1 talented. But at the end of the day, nobody can sit there and say, I don't have any potential. So every one of us has to come to a place where you fully utilize or you fully tap into that which you can do. I got to a place in my own life where sometimes we label ourselves based on where we are coming from. But there comes a place where you say, there must be more to me. I can do more than what I'm just doing. So every individual has to come to a place where they look into themselves to find that potential. What is it that you can do to become the great man, to become the great woman that you can be? Whether you're a footballer, you're a businessman, or you're a musician, there is more to what you can do than what you're currently doing.
You're talking about potential, but we were so many people that literally until they're buried, they never find out their potential, you know? How does one find this potential within themselves? How does one come to a point to say, I have this innate potential and I must bring it out?
I believe there are many ways to look at it. Sometimes one of the simple ways to find out the potential that you have is to first look at what is it that when you do, You love to do it. What is it when you see it being done right? You get excited. What is it when you see done wrong? You get frustrated. So there is a place where one has to look within themselves and see what makes you happy, what makes you sad. The second way has to do with you trying to do certain things. Many of us, we talk ourselves out of certain things. I can't do that. I can't do this. You ask people, have you ever tried it? They've never tried it. So you will only be able to discover that which is within you when you're able to only look, not only look at what is it that you enjoy doing, but also to look at your gift sets. What is it sometimes that you can do, and you can do it with such naturality within you?
So that's question number 5 that every individual needs to ask themselves. Take us through question number 6.
Question number 6 has to do with the legacy question. What do you want to leave behind? What do you want to be remembered for? Legacy is not something you create when you're gone, or a legacy is not something when you create when you're old. I tell people that legacy is not created in a day. Legacy is created daily. When you're going through your life each day, you are creating a legacy. If you're always going through life frustrated, angry, and bitter, you are creating a legacy of bitterness. If you're going through life happy, prosperous, you are creating that legacy. So it is therefore very important that when you are gone, there's something that never goes away. It's your character. It's the legacy that you have left behind.
But besides character, is there other legacy issues that surely we can leave behind?
There are many things that you can leave behind. You can leave even tangible things. People can leave an inheritance for their children. You can leave an inheritance. But I believe personally that as much as we can leave tangible things that people can say, this so-and-so left, this Mayimba left, there is more that you can leave more than just things that are physical.
I like the issue about legacy because as black people, we struggle so much with leaving tangible things for our generations. We find it very difficult to leave, whether it's property, whether it's right now just leaving for the next generation investment. How do we deal with that, with those legacy issues, so that as a people, as black people, we're able to bequeath our generations with real issues that will have them start at a better place?
I believe one of the main reasons why people get to that place is this. Most of us are very selfish. We don't think beyond ourselves. But there comes a place where you have to see that you have been here and your children don't have to start where you started. If we can be able to realize that I have to leave something that the next generation are able to start at a different platform. And one of the most powerful legacies that you can be able to leave is to leave a good name.
Leave a good name. And that brings me, I'm a sports enthusiast. I'll give an example that comes from sport. You've got footballers that have made their mark when they were at their prime. But once they retired from football, some of them don't even have houses. Some of them don't even have a car. Some of them, literally, we are pushing and shoving at 4th Street. This comes back to issues of legacy. How does an individual, not only in football, but even in business, we also read about businessmen who were the icons of business, but now when we look at their lives, they are paupers. They've nothing to their names. How does one deal with the issue of legacy?
I believe one has to have a vision where you have to see what is it that you want to accomplish at the end of the day. But the second important thing has to do with planning. It's one thing to have a vision. It's one thing to have a dream. But the next thing is there has to be a plan where you have to say, you know what, this is what I want to be able to do. And this is why I want to be able to do it. So when you look at the question that I spoke about, all of them, they come into play when it comes to the whole issue of legacy. You cannot detach any one of these processes that we are talking about.
Okay. Which will then take us to the question number 7.
Question number 7 has to do with the heritage. Where are you coming from? So what happens is this. What I leave as a legacy becomes a heritage where my children are coming from. So if I leave a legacy of poverty, my children are coming from a heritage of poverty. If I leave a legacy of prosperity, my children are coming from a heritage of prosperity. You know, I've seen people who, let's say, have a struggle of lying, not saying the truth. They end up leaving a heritage where people say, oh, he comes from that family where people lie. Oh, he comes from that family where people steal. So what you leave as a legacy becomes a heritage for the next generation to come from.
Wow, is what I can say right now. We've spoken about legacy, we've spoken about potential, we've spoken about legacy, and now we've spoken about heritage. What are you leaving for your children? What legacy are you creating today? And what heritage do you want to bequeath to your children and your children's children and your children's children's children? We've gone to question number 7, and like we said, in this episode, we're talking about life's most important questions. We are now on number 7. In the third and final segment, we're going to come back, finish off the last 3, and of course, just try and find out the pros and cons, the benefits about all these questions. What are they about? So stay with us as we go into this with Coach Natsi on the program Moments of Greatness. Exciting questions, exciting answers, as well as we get to find out about the 10 most important questions that each one of us has to go through. And of course, we've just had number 7 and significance, and number 9, which is intentionality, and the big one, number 10, which probably deserves a drum roll.
I love the big one because it's the greatness question. What is it that puts a smile on God's face? When God created everything, He always started with the end in mind. Same way when He created you. What is it that God had in mind when He created you? Are you becoming what God has called you to be? Are you doing what God called you to do? Are you clear, and are you becoming that kind of individual? If God created you to be a footballer, are you the best footballer? If God created you to be a businessman, are you that best businessman? If God created you to be a musician, are you that big businessman?
But you then have to find out what God created you for, which takes us back to question number 1.
It takes you back to question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, question number 4. It is like a chain.
So this is...
We emphasized last week that this is not an event, but it's a journey.
This is a journey, this is a process which takes you to question number 10, which is the greatness question, that you say everybody created under the sun has got a seed of greatness within them. Everybody. Doesn't matter, you're a vendor, exactly. You sell airtime, you wake up to go to Mbare Musika every morning, exactly. You work in a 5th floor of a high-rise building. Each one of us has got greatness.
But the worst thing that can then happen is this, where you die as seed instead of a harvest.
Wow, where you die as seed instead of a harvest. And this is pretty much what most of our graves have got. They've got seeds that have been buried and they were never harvested.
There are people in life, I believe, who will never become what they are meant to be until you become what you're supposed to be. So you need to understand your greatness is not all about you. There are many people who have to benefit out of you becoming the great man or the great woman you were created to be. Greatness awaits. What are you waiting for?
There you had it, Zimbabwe. We've gone through the 10 now, and the last one is greatness. But of course, Coach Natsi, there are pros and cons to everything in life, you know. Tell us about the pros and cons, the benefits about these questions.
The benefits of this question is this. Number 1 benefit, you live fulfilled. You live a happy life. There comes a place where you live a frustrated life where you feel like there has to be more. There has to be more. And many people are living that kind of a life where many people are stuck in a job. They are doing things that they don't really want to do. They are not happy at all. So one of the biggest benefits outside other benefits like money, prosperity, and everything is for you just to be happy. And the impact also that you can make to your environment and to your nation. So
are you saying, is it possible that somebody right now could be in a job and they're totally frustrated because they just never got time to find out what it is, who they are, they never went through the processes of the 10 questions?
That's right. The worst thing that can happen is you're stuck in a job. Job is J-O-B, just over broke, when you're doing something just to get paid. For you to be able to know you're living a full life, you must be doing something that you're prepared to do for free. But you do it so well that people find every reason to pay you.
But what do I do, Coach? I went to university, I became a bank teller, I became a nurse or whatever it is, and that's what the economy allows me to become. The bills have to be paid.
That's right. And I always believe that that has to be the starting point. Every one of us, sometimes we have to do what we need to do for us to be able to do what we are really supposed to do. No matter what you're doing currently, I want you to begin to ask yourself these important questions so that where you are becomes the starting point. Start where you are. Start with what you have and start with who you have for you to be able to eventually do what you're really supposed to do.
But in the processes, like you've said, what is the downside? The downside of not getting to find out.
The downsides are many. You live a frustrated life. We've seen doctors who are not happy. We've seen pastors who are not happy. We've seen people even committing suicide.
On that suicide note, indeed, it is frightening. It is a nightmare just to realize that some people are living lives that they're not happy about. In closing, as we close this segment, Coach Natsi, what would you like to say just as an overview for this show?
I really want to challenge every individual. There is more to you than what we have seen and than what we have experienced with you. I want to challenge and I want to encourage and inspire every individual. Start where you are in this journey of greatness. Do not despise days of small beginning. Do not despise every little step. Greatness is hidden in smallness.
Well, there you have it, Zimbabwe. Greatness is hidden in small little steps, and do not despise those days of small beginnings. So whatever you are, we're not only talking to accomplished people, we're talking to everything that, whoever you are, whether you're a vendor, whether you sell, whatever it is, Mbare Musika, wherever you're from. This program is for you because it is designed to inspire you, to motivate you to be the best that you can be, and so that you can discover those seeds of greatness. My name is Maimba, spelled M-A-I-M-B-A. It has been a total pleasure having you, Coach Natsi. Until again next week, we get to talk and unpack on moments of greatness. God keep you, God protect you, Zimbabwe. And whatever you do, remember, you've got moments of greatness hidden within you. Find them. Adios.